Hi guys, nice to see you again. And yeah, I've actually decided to record this video because I was asked which ones of my books or which one is my favorite. And looking from a writer's perspective, of course, the later ones, I've developed as a writer, as a person and everything. So the later ones, you can see that arc of development in my writing as well as in my personal development also. Um, so that goes without question, obviously, but I do have a few books that I absolutely love for various reasons. And yeah, I thought I'd talk to you about that and show you that you can love books for so many different reasons. Now, I would like to start with saying that, there are a lot of good books out there from a lot of absolutely brilliant authors. It doesn't mean you have to like each and every one of them, which, for example, if you go on like over 10 pages, like just describing a tiny little detail or something, and you don't have much action, I get like, for example, for me, I get impatient. I'm like, get on with it, I want the next piece of action kind of coming along. So that is something not everybody shares. Some people, they love to go more into details and, do all these little tiny things. They describe a person's looks in so much detail, or a scene, a setting, whatever. That down to the fact that maybe when it's fall, that the leaves on a tree turn into a certain color, and how much percentage of green there is, how much of yellow, how much of brown or red, or whatever. So, um, and that is the beauty, having that versatility, and and everybody like finding the author, or better the authors, because there'll never be just one writer that you like. That'd be rather sad. I've got lots that I absolutely love, and so it's different for everyone, and that versatility is just such a blessing to have out there, right? So I'm somebody who's more action prone. Not accident prone, action prone. I love, having things going on. So in my first books, I had to, I probably did a bit too little of the descriptive part of bringing about, of like sharing the visuals and showing the reader what things look like and whatever, So I've developed that over time, and nobody's perfect, of course. And I mean, it'd be horrible if anybody stagnated, and so it's a great thing that we keep evolving, in everything that we do, not just writing and other stuff as well, as in our personal development, as well as in our professions, in a hobby. Let's say play an instrument as a hobby, and as you go along and you practice more, you get better and all that sort of thing. But you still enjoy it, and you enjoyed it in the beginning, and you're enjoying it now, and you will enjoy it next year, that kind of thing. So that's beautiful. Now, let me go. I've actually got, I've got 6 books here. um, I've been talking a lot about like the Seals in Spain and the MILF Diaries lately, because obviously those are the latest ones, and they kind of feed into each other as well. The Seals in Spain, they're going to reappear in book 3 of the MILF Diaries. And, so MILF Diaries is what I'm writing at the moment. When I'm done with book 5, I'm going to go back to the Seals in Spain. I'm going to write 2 and 3. There's only book 1 out so far. And, for the simple reason the other 2 still need writing. And you know, topsy-turvy year as it was, everything is kind of totally delayed. I'm not sure if I even get the Christmas story out on Christmas or otherwise. We'll just have to read it afterwards and remember how beautiful Christmas is. So that's not a bad thing, isn't it? I can reload it next year. So I've decided not to go crazy over that, because going crazy over things is a different thing altogether, you know, which is not very good, healthy. Doesn't mean you shouldn't, you know, always put your best foot forward and stuff. But if you feel you're kind of going against the flow of the universe and really against your own energy and all that, it's a different matter. You know, you need to fine tune things and adjust. So I'm in the middle of doing that, and I'll just keep it open and see what happens. Okay, so bear with me on that one. So the first book I wanted to introduce or reintroduce is Born to be Wild. It's a biker story, but not your typical MC kind of stuff. But that biker is kind of more of a hobby biker, although he, you know, he knows his way around all the heavy duty guys there. So he's no less badass than them, but he's actually got like a day job. Which nobody knows about in the beginning. So he's got that secret, and you know, that he carries around with himself. So the reason why I love Born to be Wild so much, apart from that, is really, really hot, and it starts really hot and it goes on like that, you know, and there's a lot of action in it. It's the first book I've really went into comedy as well, like majorly. Not that's a comedy book, like a romantic comedy, but I let my humor play, let's put it that way. I've created the Merry Mechanics, which are friends of Dan's, who is the male MC of this book here, Born to be Wild. And you have got Carrie, who is the female lead, and so one of the Merry Mechanics is Bear, because he's like a big burly guy, you know. And he is simple-minded, but very sensitive, of course. And, you know, he's very sensitive to people ridiculing him, laughing at him, and that, you know, nobody likes that, of course, you know. But he's, you know, when his friends joke about it, it's still hurtful for him. And Carrie is very considerate of that, and she calls him Mr. Bear, and is very polite to him, and he gains a lot of confidence that way, you know. So and there are scenes as well when he gets things completely wrong, he doesn't know what's going on, or he just bursts into tears because Carrie sings a song that was his parents' favorites and things like that. So he snot cries, you know, on her shoulder. So there's some scenes where I really, while I was writing, I was actually laughing tears while I was writing this. I was just so much laughing to myself that my children came and was like, "Mama, what's up? What are you laughing about?" So that is Born to be Wild, hot, steamy, fast-paced, and funny as well. Then there is Opposites Attract, which came right after, and that is also with a lot of humor, but that's the one that I really started playing with what do you say? I really started playing with things like cliches, right? I was playing with cliches first time, which is so much fun, you know, because you can take so much to make the piss out of cliches. It's just amazing. So there's Jada. She's a philosophy teacher, lecturer, and she goes to visit friends in Atlanta. And on the doorstep turns up a day after her arrival, Kyle, who is a Marines officer, and Jada is like the real kind of hippie, spiritual, inclined, peace, love, and harmony person, and she thinks like everybody from the military, they must have a screw loose, be really maybe have PTSD and be really dangerous and aggressive and things like that. But then she's the aggressive one, and Kyle is the one who's kind of keeping the lid on and and staying calm like that. So you can see where that goes. The cliche would be maybe the other way around, but I'm just reversing roles and showing how silly that really is, all of it. And there's a lot more in that. Some, for example, there is the sandal guru and plastic boobs, and so the friends that they are staying with is just outside of Atlanta in Marietta and Georgia. And so the lady of the couple, she actually has an art store and a gallery. So she has an exhibition going, and she organizes dates for both of them. So she thinks, okay, Kyle's just come from deployment. He needs to let off some steam. Get him some airhead waitress, who's dumb as shit, but she's got plastic boobs and all that. So, he can have some fun and let steam off and whatever, like decompress. And, and because Jada is a spiritually inclined person, she knows this urban shaman who is, like a healer and things like that. And so she thinks that'd be the wonderful date, for Jada. Her husband, Andy, says, this is just so wrong. This is so wrong. That's not going to happen, But his wife doesn't listen, so she sets them up. In the end, it really is so wrong. And so plastic boobs and Sano Guru kind of leave the exhibition in a cab, and like they're all over each other. And why that is, you have to read in the book, because I'm not going to give everything away, but there's a good explanation for that one, and also why the other two are kind of still not hitting it off, but well, they are, but then they're not. So it's like, this is like they've got their wires crossed so much, it takes so long, because they're always doing something wrong. But at the same time, they're doing a lot of things right as well. But just because they don't expect that from each other, they just see, where things go wrong, but not where they go right for the longest. But, in the end, of course, all my books are happily ever after. So then there was another one in between, which is Badass Heroes, which I love as well. But I think the next one's Balcony Above the Sea. So, that is because the way it even started was so different. I didn't just get the idea of it, like, pop in my head, like the story kind of, or even the beginning or something. I thought, let's mix it up a bit, because we've always got like so many military guys and everything. Let's see what happens, And so I meditated and I asked my inner guidance, my higher wisdom, go like, sitting there meditating. Well, I don't really sit like this, but I'm just making fun now. But I was sitting there and going, okay, where is this next book going to be set? Like, where's that happening? What's gonna, like that. So look, give me a location other than the US. And so I got one word: Bulgaria. And I'm like, I was born 71, just like Tupac. I'm still alive. I'm so cool, right? But I grew up with the Iron Curtain still in place. There was the USSR, the Soviet Union, and they had all their satellite states, like as an extended shield around them and all that, including Eastern Germany. We had the war, we had, the two states and all the rest of it. And if we wanted to visit a family in Berlin, West Berlin, we had to drive through by car through the through Eastern Germany on the motorway and all that, and you know, and you had like really strict border controls and all that. So what happened was, you kind of grow up and you have that iron curtain in your head. So basically, my higher self decided it was time for me to have that curtain breaking up. No more iron in your head, you know, going towards Eastern Germany. So what I did, I was like, I know nothing about these countries at all. I haven't got a clue about Bulgaria. I even thought it was at the Mediterranean Sea, but it's actually just above, you know, there's a bit of Greece in between and all that. So, you know, so it borders on the Black Sea, which I only found out a bit later because I didn't research straight away. I was so sure of myself. So I had to rewrite that part also, which taught me a good lesson about doing research. But I did a lot of research on Bulgaria because I didn't have a clue. So I read from Wikipedia to travel guides to watching YouTube videos with traditional dances and about the architecture and the culture, society, all that sort of thing, you know, and that was so interesting. And also because that was the time when I had what was it? I think it was the football world championship or something. Anyway, they had something like that in the in Russia, and Madonna was there. She was giving a concert, and you know, and she kissed on stage another woman because in Russia it's illegal. You go to prison if you engage in homosexual activities. Okay, which of course is absolutely not okay, as we all know. I don't even have to state it like that, do I? But anyway, so I was looking. What about the rainbow rights? You know, I can say LGBTQ, and there's probably going to be some more on it now as well. But I love saying rainbow rights. I'm going to say rainbow rights, which are human rights as well, isn't it? So we're all human. But I was researching on that. Is that illegal in Bulgaria as well? Found out, no, it's not, but the society is very conservative. So the suicide rate amongst young people who are not straight is quite high. And basically they all have to go to the, you know, to Sofia, the capital, and there's one organization who helps these people, these young people as well, tries to stabilize them, give them, you know, give them a new family, because very often they've been thrown out of the family and rejected and all the rest of it. So there's a lot of trauma involved with that. And from my personal history, I used to live in London in the UK, and I was back in the 90s. So I had a lot of gay friends, and I had a lot of them actually lying in my arms, not crying and saying, I haven't spoken to my family in 3 years and things like that, you know, and I tried to kill myself, and, you know, my boyfriend found me, and that's why I'm still here. And, you know, the pain that goes with that and the suffering that should not happen anymore in this day and age. That's just inhuman, and that's just so cruel and horrible. So so what did I do? Because obviously I'm writing straight romance novels, and rainbow romance novels are usually mostly read by rainbow people, but you know, and you know, they obviously don't have a problem so much with themselves, other than that everybody else makes them a problem for some reason, you know, very often. But so the male MC in here, Lubin, he's got a sister who is lesbian, and she lives with a lesbian, with another lesbian, her life partner. And because gay marriage wasn't at the time I was writing the book, I have to check if that has changed now or not, but gay marriage wasn't legal in Bulgaria, which is why they weren't married, but like they were together as wife and wife. So you know, that's very stable, very loving relationship, very educated, artistic people, you know, literature and arts and music and all these things, you know. So so you have scenes where they're invited to you know, to this lesbian couples beach party. There's a lot of people from the rainbow community, and you know, so these kind of things are being within the story addressed without going to the point where you have like your raised finger and, you know, teaching, preaching, that kind of thing, you know. So I like to bring things like that into the story as part of the storyline, you know, and that there's like also distrust, which is very understandable in the first place. When you first meet somebody else, how they're going to react to me as a lesbian, as a gay person, as whatever, you know. Is that person open to that, or is that going to be a problem, you know? These kind of things, you know. So there's a lot of fear based, and that there's like walls on either side, and I kind of, you know, remove these walls like straight away in the story. But that was something which was very important to me as well at the time, to show that. So then we come to Tang, which is the first one in the Seals of Spain trilogy. That's a reverse harem. That was my first reverse harem, yeah. Apart from Black Veil, which is just the start of another series, but I'm going to write that later. That's just very short anyway, so, you know, can't really tell about the story yet. So we get to that later, some other time. So anyway, Tank is reverse harem, and there's a lot going on about for the woman. She's a bit older. She, you know, she had 3 children, very much basically like, for example, I would be, a lot of other women are as well, you know. You're not slim like a Victoria's Secret model anymore. You can see that you've had babies, you know, you've got your menopause, perimenopause, things like that, you know, you know, create changes in your body. You don't feel so confident about yourself anymore. Something that a lot of women my age go through, and you know, which isn't just, oh, the heroes come and I love that all away, but it's also, they actually make demands and say, look, if you look at yourself in that way and you diss yourself all the time, you put yourself all the time, you know, put yourself down all the time, it feels like you're telling us like we're fucking shit. So basically, you know, it's like, so do something about your attitude, because you're insulting us that way as well, because what we see in you is a goddess, and but it's not sexy and it's not nice that you're always saying, oh, I'm not good enough, you know, which of course is what society very often stamps on us, and as women, and you know, we have to be young and skinny and beautiful, and no wrinkles and all the rest of it, you know that. So you know, but Sarah, the female MC, she's always seen herself much more as a victim in the whole scenario. But Tank is the one who's actually challenging her and saying, look, you know, I've got very high standards myself, and I don't see you that way. But if you see yourself that way, that is what you're actually saying about me. And I can't accept that, because I'm not a person who lets any kind of shit in my life, you know, like not other people, circumstances, situations, places, whatever, you know. Tank has a very high standard, and he's, you know, he sticks to that. So that is a very important factor for him, and it's also something that makes not only Sarah but hopefully also the reader rethink. You know, most readers will be women, obviously, you know, so most romance readers are women, with the odd male exception here and there, but you know, but that's something that, and I wanted to say, like, write romance for women my age bracket, right? And also, like, you don't have to settle for less just because you think a man who's around 50 and who needs Viagra to get going for 20 minutes is like all you ever get, and you have to settle for that. As nice as the person might be, if you are a very physical person who enjoys physical intimacy a lot more, um, you're mismatched. You know, it's nothing against people who like maybe less sex, but if one person likes a lot of sex and one like doesn't, you know, that's a mismatch, and that can actually result long term in resentment. And you know, the longer you leave it, the harder the breakup is going to be, basically. Or, you know, just going to fester and rot inside of you, and you don't fulfill yourself. So anyway, so this book, Tank, is very much a message to women, and there are six major themes in here, and there's obviously no tiny little subplots here and there and everywhere, but six major themes that can actually be linked to different goddess archetypes. Okay, so that's something that you wouldn't know when you read it as a story, but when you know the goddess archetypes, you will know, and that goes for all my books anyway, you know. And why is that? Why are there goddess archetypes in all of my writing? Because archetypes per se are parts of the human psyche, right? So our goddess archetypes are power animals, whatever, you know. So that is a part of our makeup, of our psychological makeup. And so that stuff that you will find everywhere in daily life and circumstances, and also in stories because of that. You know, I just make sure that I've, you know, put a few ones in, because being a spiritual healer as well as a romance writer and author, I like to combine the two, you know. So the next book 2 and 3 of that series here, Tank is the first one. It's a reverse harem. There are 3 men, so Tank is the first one, and well, you know, one of them, and then there is Dom and Seb, and they each have a book, but you know, they feature, all 3 of them feature in all 3 books. So that's a trilogy, so I thought it'd be nice to kind of go by the names. So then, and I hold them up as one, starting with the MILF Diaries then, Izzy and Ria, they are best friends together with Lucia. And Izzy is half Italian, half Irish. The Italian side has restaurants and mafia and La Familia, and the Irish side has the cops and the drinking and the fun, you know. So it's like there's a whole big whirlpool of happiness, good food, and enjoying life and enjoying having people around, and the more the better, you know. Like she blossoms, Izzy blossoms, and like when she has people to care for, you know, to be around her, and there's always happy laughter, always something going on, you know. She feels lonely if she's all on her own, you know. That's not her style, that's not her mentality, totally not. So she is so happy when she's got her own house, you know. She got pregnant as a teenager, she had her son. Her family supported her, but it was very difficult, of course, you know. She got herself through college and everything, and built her own business up, and then her son left home when he was grown up, went to study and work in town, met this lovely young lady, Lashona, who's, you know, who's Rob's son, who's the, you know, is the girlfriend of the son, and Izzy loves her to pieces as well, but you know, she's all alone in that house that she bought, and thought, maybe I find another man and have more children, you know, and which she wanted. She wanted to have a bigger family and of her own as well. That's always been, you know, a wish, but she's never met anybody else that she really liked. Until she meets those 2 convicts. They're out of prison, you know. One is out longer already and works as a foreman in a construction company that she has as a client. She's a mortgage originator. So and the boss is part of the, is part of the program to help convicts that are just released from prison to find back into society, but arranging for them to having a place to stay, and and having work, honest work, to find their way back into society, and have something that gives them hold and a reason, to keep on the good side of the law. So that's Manuelo, or Manu for short. That's the first one. He helps her then to renovate her son's room for Lashona's brother, who's just coming out of prison. And she arranges for him to get a job at the construction company as well. And she said she's going to take him in because Lashona and Rob don't have any room, and she's got an empty big house, So she's inviting him to come stay with her, and thought, this little guy, who she can kind of, cook for and be the mama and whatever else, So wasn't quite like that. Dante is coming, and there he is, and there he is. He's like huge, right? Same as Manu, really huge. And then she goes like, like half of my family are cops. They're not gonna like this, and they're way too young for me because they're like late 20s. So she goes and visits her uncle and dad at the precinct and things. So maybe she finds a nice cop to date. She's never dated cops before, but she thought, just to get my mind off the convicts, I better go and date a cop or something, to create a balance there. So she meets this young cop who's also in the same age bracket as the other two, and ends up with him on the back seat of a car in a car park outside the police station where her dad and her uncle work. So, and then suddenly the other two are coming past by, just by accident kind of thing, and see a car there and see her in the back and get in there as well. So there's three of them in a car. So that is like an easy slack. Oh my God, what am I gonna do now? Haven't had a decent man in like ages, and now all of a sudden there's three sitting here, and I find them all odd, and so she's all confused and all that, but things have a way of kind of getting back into order. So that's easy. Then we've got Ria, who is like the total opposite. She needs peace and quiet, alone time. She's always in her head. It's like, for her, cooking a normal meal, nothing fancy, is like a major mammoth task, because she can paint and sculpt and all that and be really creative, but going shopping and cleaning the house and washing, all these mundane kind of chores that other people do like on the side is like really challenging for her, because she's always like out there somewhere in the clouds, she forgets to eat a lot very often and things, and then there's nothing there when she finally feels like, oh, I'm hungry, let's see what there is, opens the fridge, empty. This is like, she's like all the way out there. So but because she's helping with a present for Dante, she goes to the hardware store to get some tools for him, because Dante wouldn't know that she would go, but if anybody else would go and get the tools for his for his party, then he'd find out. So she said she's gonna go, and she'll make, like, she'll build some kind of statue out of these tools, and she's got all these wonderful ideas with it that she's gonna do. She's just so creative. It's just so beautiful, empty fridge, but totally creative. So she is in a hardware store, and all of a sudden there's Jordan standing in front of her, who is like the sexiest guy she's ever seen. He's actually 30 years old. He just had his birthday. And she just stands in front of him and thinks like, so this is what God looks like. She is really convinced he's God in the first place, right? So And Jordan is like this jaded stripper, world famous, earning millions, got his own club in downtown Manhattan. And, you know, it's like he's got everything that you would get in like in a like if in the physical world. Somebody who gets along really well in the physical world, that's Jordan. Somebody who's just out there to get money, and you know, what do I need to do? I can manipulate women so easily because I'm so sexy, I'm so good looking. I just smile and they pay me millions, you know. It's like, so, but he's totally jaded, you know, he's totally jaded because he sees himself as a product. Not he's selling a product and he's representing it, and the real him is the human person, man, Jordan, but he identifies himself with that product, right? So, which is because of his traumatized childhood and all that. So Ria is the first person who actually cares about him as a person, sees him as a person, cares when he suddenly gets a panic attack, and that she is there, and she doesn't look at him like as if he were as if he were like less of a man because, you know, he had a panic attack or anything, you know, but she's totally there for him. She's a healer as well, and she's helping him, but of course she has her own insecurities as well. So because he's afraid of having sex with her in the whole, but always says like, you know, he wants to be in a relationship with her and all that, but he won't go out with her to be seen because she doesn't know what he really is, namely a world famous stripper. You know, and he thinks if he has sex with her, she's just going to see him as a piece of meat like all the other women as well. So you know, he gets a panic because he's so afraid to lose her as a friend and as a partner, right? Romantic partner as well, even though they've not really done anything else but kiss, more or less. And you know, so that is like brings a lot of problems with it. And then he gets into a total panic mode when she finds out what he is. And you know, so they end up, well, he does, but you know, she doesn't leave him alone. She goes actually with him, you know, accompanies him and make sure that he's all right and looked after and all that, to the mental clinic, you know, in Manhattan. And so then there's a psychiatrist who's treating not only Jordan, but he's starting to have conversations with Ria as well. And Ria has a few very unorthodox views also on his job and his job description and where the lines are and everything. And she's of the opinion that sometimes lines need to be blurred or even overstepped because there's a higher purpose, like a spiritual purpose behind something. And in this case, she is also right. And so they're kind of healing each other all around, you know, so the three of them in some way. So I'm not going to go more into that, but that's basically what Ria is all about. And the one I'm writing at the moment, book number 3, is Raina, and she is Lucia. That is the third of the 3 best friends, you know, Ria, Izzy, and Lucia. And Lucia is already married happily with her wonderful, absolutely wonderful, supportive husband, Matteo. Her little sister is Raina, and she's gone as a young woman already. She's gone to Spain and has made a career for herself as a dancer, a professional dancer. Not a stripper like Jordan, but you know, like she's got a classical and like ballet education training, and also classical Spanish dancing, South American kind of, you know, all that kind of comes together. She's like, even though she's in her early 40s now, she is still like the star of the dancing scene in Spain and Europe as well. Very often people know her name. because that goes, you know, with the high arts, like the same with the theater, opera, and all that. You know, she comes into contact a lot. You know, she has in all of her career come into contact a lot with people in power, like nobility, politicians, and business tycoons, and so on. So she is like a very elegant lady, and she's very controlled where men are concerned as well, because of her past and Lucia's past as well, you know, with their father, which was quite dramatic. And she's been always very controlled. And she is actually dancing. Her best friend is the one who owns the company, you know, that she's dances for in Barcelona. And she is also the star of the show that he has choreographed. You know, he's done the choreography, and he's training that with his company. And there are two men who play her leading counterparts. They're two younger men. And these two are Ramon and Rafael. And they both fall in love with Reina. They don't want to share. They were best friends since birth, and now they're hating each other for that. But at the same time, they both miss their best friend, and it's very complicated in the emotional structure for both of them, you know, because they're so close, they live together and all the rest of it. And the whole situation is basically untenable emotionally for everybody concerned, more or less. And Reina is distraught because she's got more feelings than she ever had in her life. She doesn't want to hurt anyone. She thinks it won't last anyway because of, you know, she's seen what her father has done. And you know, and so many other men as well, obviously. So you know, she is very you know, she really wants to keep it on a friendship level, but you know, all around the emotions and the whole feelings, you know, and the sexual attraction and all that is just very fierce, you know. So they end up all in New York having a job to do there. They've been booked for a reggaeton singer's video, inspired by Nicky Jam, but obviously, you know, I can't use him in a book, but I love his music. So that's really the background of this one. So, and then they end up at Lucia's place, and you know, and their friends are there as well. So they're talking, they've got like a sacred circle for the men and a sacred circle for the women, even though they don't call it that, but it kind of happens that way, that they're split up, and the guys talk and the girls talk and that, you know. So that is something that's going to recur as well, because for some reason, which I'm not going to tell now, I don't want to spoil it, but they actually go to Spain and stay with the SEALs in Spain. People like from Tank, Dom, and Seb and Sarah, these four, they're going to stay with them for a while, and they're going to have some more deeper conversations about a lot of yeah, especially that's going to center more on the women, because it's about motherhood and pregnancies and all that, you know. So very feminine centered, I would say, that circle, you know. And what I want to express with that, my message in that is like, there is no one size fits all. There is always something that, you know, whatever decision you make in your life has to fit your character, your situation, the point where you're at the moment, what you know, what you perceive your alternatives to be, and so on. You know, you don't have, especially with very, very personal issues, you don't have a one size fits all, and it's not okay to try and force somebody from the outside and make the decision for them. That's basically what it is. So there's some more stuff happening, which is going to surprise you as well, I'm sure, when you read it, but you know, I'm not spoiling now. And so I leave it at that now. Book 4 and 5 are going to come as well. So the 5 is going to be the Christmas special. As I said, it might just happen after Christmas. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I've set my stakes high, but at the moment, energy, this whole year is just like topsy-turvy all around. So that's a bit about what I am doing at the moment, what I love doing, about my writing, about bringing my deeper messages into my hot and steamy entertainment. And I totally love both, and I love both at the same time. I don't think one should exclude the other. It doesn't turn me off. To go a bit of problem delving, you know, it's for me, it's not something that goes like, no, yeah, I don't feel sexy anymore, you know. No, it's part of life. And maybe the MCs don't feel really sexy at that moment when they talk about these things or experience those things either, but you know, they get together and they find solutions, and that's what it's all about. And you know, in the process, everybody benefits from it. And then you can start the fireworks again, right? Which I'm a great fan of. So anyway, hope you're going to get the books, read them, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed them, I'd love to have a positive review. Amazon, Goodreads, BookBub, you know, any kind of platform is fine. If you didn't like it so much, or if you have some constructive criticism, criticism, I would love to hear from you in an email where you detail that, or you can DM me on social media and let me know, and we'll talk about it. And I'm totally happy to discuss that with you. Okay, so thank you so much. Bye.